Good evening. The meeting of the Miramar City Commission is now called to order. An opportunity was given to the public to register to participate or email the city clerk 24 hours prior to commission meeting with any questions, comments, concerns on items we will hear on this evening's agenda. Any person may be heard by the city commission through the chair and upon registering pursuant to the published notice for not more than 3 minutes on any proposition before the city commission, unless modified by the chair. This meeting is being streamed live at miramarfl.gov/commission meeting and televised on Comcast Channel 78 and AT&T UVerse Channel 99 for all City of Miramar subscribers. As of May 4th, 2022 at 4 p.m., one member from the public has registered to participate virtually in this meeting. If someone has registered later than this time and would like to speak, they can raise their hand, and at the appropriate time, our IT staff will unmute their mic to allow them to speak. Please be sure to mention your name and address for the record prior to addressing the commission. All comments submitted will be included as part of the record for this meeting and will be considered by the City Commission prior to any action being taken. At this time, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor Messam.
Here.
Commissioner Barnes.
Here.
Commissioner Chambers.
Here.
Vice Mayor Colburn.
Here.
Commissioner Davis.
Here.
City Manager Gordon.
Here.
City Attorney Norris Weeks.
Here.
City Attorney Powell.
Here.
Let us all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, we will observe a moment of silence. We do have a commemoration list for City of Miramar employees who are bereaved at this time. And our fellow colleague, Abdul, affectionately known as Chubby Ghani from the Utilities Department, lost his mother. So let's keep Chubby and his family in our thoughts and our prayers, in addition to all other condolences that are being expressed throughout our community. Moment of silence. Thank you. All right, we have quite a few proclamations. Our first proclamation is in observance of our Municipal Clerks Week, and I would like to ask our City Clerk, Denise Gibbs, and our wonderful City Clerk's Office team and staff to come forward. Good evening. Proclamation, 53rd Annual Professional Municipal Clerks Week, May 1st through May 7th, 2022. The Office of the Professional Municipal Clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world. And whereas the Office of the Professional Municipal Clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the Office of the Professional Municipal Clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels. And whereas professional municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. Whereas the Professional Municipal Clerk Service serves as the information center on functions of a local government and community. Whereas professional municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the Office of the Professional Municipal Clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and annual meetings of their state, provincial, county, and international professional organizations. Whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the Office of the Professional Municipal Clerk. Now, therefore, I, Wayne Messa, Mayor of the City of Miramar, and on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim the week of May 1st through May 7th, 2022 as Municipal Clerks Week. Thank you, ladies, for all that you do for our residents and our community in a very professional way. Our next proclamation, I would like to invite my colleagues on the Miramar Commission to come forward. It's in recognition of the Haitian Heritage Month. And is Mr. Rodney Noel present? Good evening, sir. Are you alone? Do you have a guest? You can come forward to the dais, please. Mr. Noel is the creator of the world-renowned Compa Fest, which, by the way, is coming to the Miramar Amphitheater this month, next weekend. How are you, sir? Proclamation in observance of Haitian Heritage Month, May 2022. Whereas Haiti, a word meaning land of mountains, was given its name by its first inhabitants, and whereas the first black nation to gain its independence in 1804, and whereas for a country's citizens, the national flag is indisputably a symbol of great pride, with the Haitian community equally proud, and whereas our vibrant Haitian community has contributed tremendously to the vitality of our city with rich cultural influences. And whereas Miramar residents were the first in the county to elect someone of Haitian American descent to serve on the city's commission. And whereas throughout this month, the Haitian community will gather and celebrate their heritage through historical and cultural traditions and observances, with numerous events taking place right here in the great city of Miramar, including the established time-honored festival, Compa Fest, happening on May 14th and 15th at the Miramar Amphitheater. Now, therefore, I, Wayne Messa, Mayor of the City of Miramar, and on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim the month of May as Haitian Heritage Month. And we'd like to thank Mr. Noel for accepting this proclamation on behalf of the Haitian community that is so vital to our community and contribute in all aspects of life, not only professionally, in public safety, the legal professional, the medical professional, and right here in the city providing public service. So thank you so much for representing the Haitian community, and all the best next weekend with the Compa Fest. Our next proclamation was requested by Commissioner Winston Barnes for the awareness of Stroke Awareness Month. Whereas strokes are the leading cause of long-term disability, and every year more than 795,000 people in the United States have a stroke. Strokes are the fifth leading cause of death in the United States, killing approximately 137,000 people. And whereas someone has a stroke in the United States every 40 seconds, and someone dies every 3.5 minutes from a stroke, African Americans are more impacted by strokes than any other racial group within the American population. And whereas high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, obesity, and smoking are major risk factors that require prevention, management, and control. And whereas approximately 80% of strokes can be prevented by making healthy choices and controlling any health conditions you may have, Floridians should recognize their personal risk factors, memorize stroke warning signs, and call 911 at the first sign of a stroke. And whereas innovative and effective treatments are being developed to minimize the severity and detrimental effects of strokes, but more awareness and research is needed. Whereas it is fitting to recognize Stroke Awareness Month to raise awareness about the importance of stroke prevention, early recognitions of signs and symptoms of a stroke, and the need to act fast by dialing 911 at the first sign or symptom of a stroke. Therefore, I, Wayne Messa, Mayor of the City of Miramar, and on behalf of Commissioner Winston Barnes and the City Commission, do hereby proclaim May 2022 as Stroke Awareness Month. All right, thank you. I invite Economic Development and Revitalization Department Director Anita Fain Taylor and team to come forward to receive our next proclamation for Economic Development Week. Let's give them a round of applause as they come forward. Good evening. Economic Development Week, May 9th through 13th, 2022. Whereas the International Economic Development Council is the largest professional economic development organization dedicated to serving economic developers. Whereas the International Economic Development Council provides leadership and excellence in economic development for communities, members, and partners throughout conferences, training courses, advisory services and research, in-depth publications, public policy advocacy, and initiatives such as the Accredited Economic Development Organization Program, the Certified Economic Developer Designation, and the Entrepreneurship Development Professional. And whereas economic developers promote economic well-being and quality of life for their communities by creating, retaining, and expanding jobs that facilitate growth, enhance wealth, and provide a stable tax base. And whereas economic developers stimulate and incubate entrepreneurism in order to help establish the next generation of new businesses, which is the hallmark of the American economy. And whereas economic developers are engaged in a wide variety of settings, including rural and urban, local, state, provincial, and federal governments, public-private partnerships, chambers of commerce, universities, and a variety of other institutions. Whereas economic developers attract and retain high-quality jobs, develop vibrant communities, and improve the quality of life in their regions. And whereas economic developers work in the city of Miramar within the state of Florida. Now, therefore, I, Wayne Messa, Mayor of the City of Miramar, and on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim and recognize the week of May 9th through May 13th as Economic Development Week. And our team does an amazing job in not only helping to sustain our businesses, but they are involved in very early discussions for companies that are looking to move to the region. And oftentimes we become the #1 choice and business destination for companies, even though at first they may be thinking about Miami, Fort Lauderdale, or West Palm Beach. They're moving right here to the city of Miramar. So thanks so much for not only doing a great job with large businesses, but our small businesses as well. So thank you so much for all of your hard work. Thank you. Next up, I invite Fire Rescue Deputy Chief Randy Gonzalez. to come forward in recognition of Hurricane Preparedness Week. We hope you won't have to be too busy coming up because we're predicting a very slow hurricane season. So you heard it first here. Hurricane Preparedness Week. Well, but they're on the ready just in case. Hurricane Preparedness Week, May 1st through 7th. Whereas Florida hurricane season officially begins June 1st and ends November 30th. And whereas Florida has 1,197 miles of coastline and hundreds of miles inland are vulnerable to the devastating effects of a hurricane or tropical storm. And whereas both public and private entities should develop emergency response and recovery plans in accordance with local jurisdictions and local emergency management offices. And whereas the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the National Weather Service are designating the week of May 1st through 7th, 2022 as Hurricane Preparedness Week. And whereas the Florida Division of Emergency Management and the leadership at the City of Miramar strongly suggest that all residents and visitors to the area be made aware of the potential dangers of these storms. And whereas the best defense against natural disasters is preparedness, and educating the public to the dangers of the high winds, storm surge, flooding, and tornadoes that may occur for hundreds of miles in conjunction with a hurricane or tropical storm. Now, therefore, I, Wayne Messam, Mayor of the City of Miramar, and on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim the week of May 1st through 7th as Hurricane Preparedness Week. And I would encourage all of our residents to visit our fire rescue website or any one of our local fire stations to get your hurricane preparedness plan. There's a downloadable resource that you can download and do it this week. Don't get caught in the long lines just in case if we get or in the cone. So thanks, Fire Rescue, for all that you do and keeping our community not only safe but prepared as well. Thank you, sir. Now calling Fire Rescue Division Chief Jorge Lorenz. How are you? May is a very busy month. Yes, let's come on up. EMS team, emergency, good evening. Emergency Medical Services Week, Rising to the Challenge, May 15th through 21st. Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical service teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. And whereas emergency medical service teams consist of emergency physicians, emergency nurses, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, firefighters, educators, administrators, and others. And whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas Americans benefit daily from the knowledge and skills of these highly trained individuals. Whereas it is important to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week. Now, therefore, I, Wayne Messam, Mayor of the City of Miramar, and on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim the week of May 15th through 21st as Emergency Medical Services Week. Almost there. Utilities Director Francois Damon and staff, please come forward. Can you back up this evening? All right, all right. Yes, let's give them a round of applause. This proclamation is in observance of Water Reuse Week, May 15th through 21st. Whereas safe, clean, and sustainable water resources are essential to Florida's environment, economy, citizens, and visitors. And whereas water reuse provides a means for conserving and augmenting Florida's precious water resources. And whereas Florida has established the encouragement and promotion of water reuse as state objectives in chapters 373 and 403 of Florida statutes. And whereas Florida's permitted reuse capacity exceeds 1.7 billion gallons per day, that's over 67% of Florida's total permitted capacity for all domestic water treatment facilities. And whereas Florida leads the nation in reusing 725 million gallons of reclaimed water each day to conserve fresh water supplies and replenish our freshwater resources. And whereas the state of Florida has declared May 15th through the 21st to be Water Reuse Week in Florida. And whereas the city of Miramar has joined the state of Florida, the Department of Environmental Protection, the Florida section of the Water Reuse Association, and the South Florida Water Management District in encouraging and promoting water reuse and conservation. And whereas the city of Miramar is the pioneer in South Florida and can provide a total of 4 million gallons per day reclaimed water for beneficial irrigation use within our service area. And whereas the city of Miramar continues to promote and implement its reuse program and encourages efficient and effective use of reclaimed water. Now, therefore, I, Wayne Messa, Mayor of the city of Miramar, and on behalf of the Commission, do hereby proclaim May 15th through 21st as Water Reuse Week. Thank you, gentlemen. Next department, Public Works. Our Director, Anthony Collins, please come forward, and any team members. I like how all the departments are getting in on the proclamation action in May. Good evening. And this proclamation recognizes National, we have the same barber, National Public Works Week, May 15th through 21st. Whereas public works professionals focus daily on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are essential and of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities, and to protecting the public health, safety, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of the city of Miramar. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the committed and dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government who are responsible for planning, maintaining, rebuilding, improving, and protecting our city's transportation, solid waste systems, public buildings, and streets, highways, landscaping, street lights, and our canal maintenance. Whereas it is in the public interest for the city, citizens, civic leaders, and children in the city of Miramar to gain knowledge of and to maintain a progressive interest and understanding of the importance and value public works and public works programs provide and public works programs provide in our respective communities. And whereas the year 2022 marks the 62nd annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association. And whereas this year's theme, Ready and Resilient, highlights the ability of these professionals to perform regular public works duties and be ready in a moment's notice to react as first responders during natural disasters and overcome trials seen in the field. Now, therefore, I, Wayne Messa, Mayor of the city of Miramar, and on behalf of the Miramar Commission, do proclaim May 15th through 21st National Public Works Week. Thank you all so much for what you do for our community in ensuring our infrastructure, roadways, and all of our capital assets are intact for our community in the good times and during disaster. All right, only 30 more. our final proclamation, I would invite, and who is appearing virtually, the Vice Chair of NAMI, of Broward County Advocacy Group, Jennifer Luciani. I think if she's online, our IT folks can unmute her mic. Just give confirmation you're there. Good evening. Hello, Jennifer Luciani.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening and welcome virtually to the city of Miramar.
Thank you for having me.
Great, so I'll read our proclamation in observance of Mental Health Awareness Month, May 2022. Whereas National Alliance on Mental Illness, Broward's mission is to bring awareness and programs to Broward County in support of a world-class treatment and recovery system for people with mental illness and their families. NAMI Broward works to provide support, education, and advocacy to promote better outcomes for people living with mental illness. And whereas good mental health is critical to the well-being of individuals, families, communities, schools, and businesses. Whereas mental illnesses are medical illnesses, good health includes mental health care. Additionally, the earlier the treatment, the better the outcome. Whereas mental illness are no one's fault and are common and treatable, 1 in 5 adults will experience a mental illness in any given year. Half of all mental health conditions begin by age 14, and 75% begin by age 24. And whereas the depth of the mental health crisis among children under the age of 18 is staggering, the COVID-19 pandemic has only exacerbated it. In the first half of 2021, children's hospitals reported a 45% increase in the number of cases of self-injury and suicide. This exacerbated impact on the pandemic on mental health is significant for adults too. And whereas half of children and adults living with mental illness never receive life-changing treatment, stigma around mental illness often prevents people from seeking treatment, whereas, research shows that the most effective way to combat stigma is through personal contact with someone living with a mental illness. Whereas increasing awareness and understanding of mental health conditions reduce stigma and discrimination that pose barriers of well-being, and also promote appropriate and accessible services for all people with mental health diagnoses. And whereas race, gender, age, sexual orientation, identity, language, socioeconomic status, values, and beliefs are among factors which affect how mental health conditions are perceived and experienced. It is essential for these factors to be part of the conversation on treatment so that a shared community can be a source of strength and support. Whereas many people with mental illness make important and valuable contributions to our communities and are able to live meaningful lives. And whereas NAMI Broward County observes the month of May as Mental Health Awareness Month to raise awareness of mental health, to encourage those living with mental illness to seek help and to be uplifted by our message, you are not alone. Now, therefore, I, Wayne Mesa, Mayor of the City of Miramar, and on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim May 15th through 21st as Mental Health Awareness Month. Ms. Luciani, would you like to share a few brief words to our City Commission?
Yes, I would, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. My name is Jennifer Luciani, and I volunteer with NAMI Broward, and I have an opportunity to meet with men and women who have children living with mental illness or siblings. And my full-time position is a mental health counselor. So day to day, I'm working and supporting people who are going through very troubling life circumstances. And it is an honor, and we are truly grateful that the City of Miramar is recognizing the importance of mental health for the residents and helping to break the stigma. So thank you once again for the opportunity to accept this proclamation and for reading the material for all the residents and commission today.
Thank you so much, Jennifer, for bringing this very important message to our community. Mental illness does not escape anyone in our city of Miramar. And thanks for all that you're doing with your organization in Broward County to bridge the gap between services and treatment to our residents and neighbors who definitely needs the service. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your patience during these well-deserved proclamations and recognitions. Next on our agenda will be our first of two presentations. I invite the Miramar Youth Advisory Council to do a presentation on their recent visit to the National League of Cities Congressional Conference in Washington a couple of months ago, and I'll let our esteemed council members introduce themselves and followed by a presentation. I'm starting with you, Samara. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, City Managers, City Attorneys, and City Clerk. My name is Samara Lanza, and I attend Everglades High School.
Good evening. My name is Amar Mansuri, and I also attend Everglades High School.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, City Attorneys, and City Clerk. My name is Delicia Barnes, and I attend Miramar High School.
Good evening. My name is Rachel Charles, and I also attend Miramar High School.
And we are the Miramar Youth Advisory Council. I just wanted to say thank you so much for having us this evening. Like the mayor said, today we'll be presenting our Miramar Youth Advisory PowerPoint. What is the Youth Advisory Council? The Youth Advisory Council is made up of 2 students from Everglades and 2 students from Miramar High School. We work closely with the mayor as well as police chief. What does the Youth Advisory do? We attend commission meetings, shadow the police department and the mayor, and attend national leagues of cities. We also do community service projects such as attend the after dinner, City Clerk Passport to Miramar, Mayor's 5K, and Health Fair.
This year, we had the chance to attend the National League of Cities Conference in Washington, D.C. The National League of Cities is a nonprofit advocacy organization that promotes stronger local government. While we were at NLC, we got to attend youth sessions, general conference sessions, and do youth networking with elected officials. Some of the honorable mentions that we were able to see while in those sessions are Secretary Pete Buttigieg, Ambassador Susan Rice, and President Joseph Biden. While in Washington, we also got the chance to meet our Congresswoman Sheila Sherfless McCormick. She is the first Haitian American Democrat elected to Congress.
Being a part of the Miramar Youth Advisory Council is an experience that we'll all take throughout our lives. This program has taught us a lot, but not only city government, but federal government and its influence on a local scale. It has given us the opportunity to connect with our city officials and give us the outlet and many ideas to change in our community. An event that we had attend was an Aftar dinner hosted by a YAC member also representing the Muslim Student Association.
Here is an example of an event that we attended that was hosted by the city clerk's office called Passport to Miramar, where we got to do social networking with Everglades Fire Academy.
If anyone would like to find out more information, you can visit the link above.
Thank you for your time this evening. Are there any questions?
Well, first, thanks for your presentation. Well, I'll be the first to say we're very proud of our Youth Advisory Council members. It would be an understatement to share how much of an example and gold standard that our Youth Advisory Councils are at all of our National League of Cities events. Many of the councils across the country model what the city of Miramar and our students. They're often leading discussions and presentations, and they're very respected Youth Advisory Council across the country. Our members here before us this evening, we have 4 members that are on the council. We've had some attrition during the pandemic, and we will be this summer we'll be bringing our Youth Advisory Council back to its full strength. And trust me, you would never know with these 4 that the council is missing any members. So you all have really held down the fort during a very difficult time with some of the participation being virtual over the pandemic, but we're glad we're back out and to be able to hang out together. So thank you so much for your leadership, your leaders amongst your peers. It's not easy to get into the Youth Advisory Council, but I love all of your characters. And I'd like to thank the police chief for his support and everything that the police department is doing as well with the Youth Advisory Council. So I'm not sure if there are any questions from the commission. Commissioner Chambers, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say thanks to all of you for representing the city of Miramar and representing your schools. And it was such a delightful pleasure to speak with you all in Washington, D.C. I want to thank you guys for to want to serve. It's a big undertaking, and for you, all of you, to make those applications and send them in. I want to thank your parents because without them, there's no you. So I'm sure they put a lot of work into making sure that you guys doing the right thing, and it's always good to do the right thing. So I want to thank them, your family. With that family support, that's the only way you guys gonna make it. And I just want to say, sometimes the letters are compelling when we get them. Can I ask what grades are you guys in?
So I'm in 10th grade. This is actually my first year with Rachel, and over here we have Samara and Delicia, who are in 12th grade, which is their last year.
Right. And as much as we get a lot of letters, everybody's qualified. And I generally tend to pick the higher grades, 12, 11, because give them an opportunity. I know they're on their way out. But sometimes we get a letter from, the lower grade, and it's hard to say no. And but my model is to give the older kids the opportunity first, given the fact that you guys still coming behind. So I just want to thank you guys once more, and have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Davis, I see you raised your hand. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to congratulate each of you, and thank you for your service, of course. I'm more attuned to Miramar High because my son is an alumni, an alumnus of the high school, and my niece also went there. But I am very proud of all of our high school students. There are so many success stories, and I know, having been here with us, that you will also be a success. And as you continue your education, we wish you all the best. And make sure to tell those who are coming behind you that this is a very good program, and that we also have the Teen Advisory Council. So that's also an option for students as well. Thank you. Wish you all the best.
Thank you, Commissioner. And in closing, as you see, we have 2 sophomores and 2 seniors. So I'd like to ask the chambers if we would give a big round of applause to Samara Lanza, who will be transitioning on to St. John's University in New York, and Delicia Barnes, who will be transitioning on to Broward College to continue their education. Congratulations, young ladies. Thank you all so much for your wonderful presentation. Our next presentation will be COVID-19 and Emergency Management Update by Fire Rescue Public Relations Specialist Tara Smith. Want to make sure your mic is on. And raise that right there. There we go.
May as well make it 3 meetings in a row. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, City Commissioners, City Manager, Tara Smith, Fire Rescue. As we're looking at the first slide here with all of the data and the numbers on it, there are a few things that I'd like to serve as a reminder. As we discussed last time, the numbers are going to be a little bit skewed for all the negative tests that are received in at-home testing. Obviously, those individuals are no longer moving forward with anything, so they do not get reported as there is no reporting platform. However, positive tests may land someone in the doctor's office just to get checked out for the things, and then those do get recorded by the doctor, hospital, wherever they may go. Keeping that in mind, that is going to overinflate the positivity rate because of that. A great example is early February. We had double the number of cases that we have right now, but our positivity rate was only 2% higher. Then mid-February, we had 5,000 more cases than we do right now, and the positivity rate was 1% lower. So keeping that in mind, a lot of what we see is sometimes not the actual reality as to how it is. That said, we do have an increase in positivity rate for Broward County as well as the state of Florida. However, that is not reflected the same in our hospitalization rates and our rates of death as it would have been in previous increases that we have seen, which means for us that the vaccinations are doing what we want them to do. Individuals who are still doing what's right for them, wearing their masks and everything of that nature, those things are working for us. So while we are seeing an increase, it is not the same as the increases that we were seeing previously. And there are no, at this time, new variants of particular concern that the CDC is noting, other than what we already are aware of at this time. In terms of Broward County and city updates, there have been no changes to any mandates or any other items added or subtracted as it stands in regards to COVID. We are still in a state of emergency that is updated every 7 days at this point. For testing updates, again, we do not have any new or less testing sites, so we do still have in the city of Miramar Station 107 testing. We also, of course, through the federal program, there's the testing at all of the pharmacies is available, the take-home tests. You can order your free 4 tests that get sent to you through USPS as well, online or by calling the State Department. Vaccinations are also stagnant in terms of information as we've seen it. So we do not have any new or less right now vaccine sites, but they are widely available at all of the pharmacies, hospitals, urgent cares, your doctor's offices. So certainly able to be received for both your primary doses as well as any booster or additional doses you would want to receive. For the additional information that we felt pertinent to bring forward would be travel updates. And this is also all being made available to the residents through all the normal channels of pushed out as well as available online. So in regards to travelers who are specifically coming to the United States, and that would also be if you were returning to the United States. If you are a United States citizen who traveled for whatever reason, pleasure or work, you would, upon return, need to have a negative test. Or if you were gone for a significantly longer period of time, you would have to have had a certified doctor's note stating that you're recovering from COVID in place of a negative test. Now, for those individuals who would be traveling from outside of the United States as non-U.S. citizens into the United States, regardless the purpose of the travel, whether it be pleasure or work-related, they would also be under the same testing requirements, but would be required to be fully vaccinated and have proof of the full vaccination status. And that means for the 2-dose shots that they've received both, and for the Johnson & Johnson that they've received 1. That would count as fully vaccinated. And they would need to have that 2 weeks prior to the date of travel for anyone coming into the United States that is not a current citizen. Now, we've also provided here and in all of the normal channels, we're working with marketing to get these put out as well, the links to the CDC, which gives travel recommendations, more broad scale, and also ranks each of the countries as well as each of the cruise lines in regards to how they've been doing in terms of outbreaks, any changes within the country. It all gets a color rating, and that's where the CDC is going with it. We've also provided the U.S. Department of State's website, which has every single country and territory listed alphabetically, that would allow everyone to understand, should they be traveling to that area, what they need to be providing, what they need to be bringing back with them, the time frame they need to be planning on, and anything really that they would need to know as it relates to traveling with COVID. But we always remind everyone, of course, bring a mask with you. You never know how you're going to feel when you get somewhere, and it never hurts to be cautious and just be prepared and really understand the regulations of where you're going and the means by which you're traveling. These regulations stand whether it be land, air, or sea, but the company that you're using may impose additional regulations should they choose, if it's a private airline or a cruise company or something of that nature. As I said, everything is available at the website for the city, as well as Broward County. There are links on their site as well, and on the State Department's website, of course. And the COVID hotline does still stand as being monitored by the State Department, and they're there to assist anyone, answer any questions they may have, and direct them into the appropriate areas. Any questions?
Thank you for the presentation. Do we have any questions or comments for the staff? Seeing none, thank you so much for the presentation. On to consent agenda. Items listed under consent agenda are viewed to be routine, and the recommendation will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. If discussion is desired, the items will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. The clerk received no request to speak from the public on the consent agenda. Does any member of the public who are present in the chambers wish to speak on any items on the consent agenda? Any members from the public in the chambers wish to speak on any items on the consent agenda? Seeing none, back to the dais. Are there any items that wish to be pulled, or may I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Madam Clerk, record the votes.
Commissioner Barnes?
Yes.
Commissioner Chambers?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Colburn?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Mayor Messam?
Yes. I will be moving up item number 11 for if you have members from the community that are here for this item, so I don't have to wait for the entire meeting. Item number 11, please.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Miramar, Florida, changing the name of Fairway Park to Norma D. Martin Park and providing for an effective date.
On our last commission meeting, during reports, brought forward the prospects of recommending the name change of the Fairway Park to the late Miss Norma D. Martin Park. And this item is being brought forward this evening, petitioning commission approval. Some background on Miss Martin. Norma Doreen Martin migrated to the United States 43 years ago and settled in the city of Miramar, where she was affectionately known as Miss Norma. Miss Norma immersed herself into the community, building and activism in the city and the surrounding communities. Ms. Norma served as the president of the Miramar Park Homeowners Group in the historic district when the Homeowners Group entered the Neighborhoods USA 35th Annual Conference in 2010 in Arkansas and was selected as a finalist in the Social Revitalization Neighborliness Single Neighborhood category. In 2008, Ms. Norma brought neighborhood beautification and streetscape projects to the forefront, and in 2009, again, through a partnership with the city, neighborhood schools, and businesses, she initiated Miramar's first tree lighting annual event at Fairway Park. Ms. Norma made it a point to partner with and participate in the efforts of the Miramar community garden activities and support the local schools, including Fairway Elementary, Miramar High, and Everglades High. Ms. Norma fervently supported the Miami Deaf Center and avidly supported the Legacy Learning Foundation. In 2016, Ms. Norma wrote the song, "Oh Miramar," and here's some excerpts. "Oh Miramar, so beautiful, the center of it all, with diversity and unity, let's live as family." The refrain, of course, "Oh Miramar, sweet Miramar, let God thy goal define. Let our success be nobleness from east side to west," are some excerpts from the lyrics of that song. And these are just some pictures of we've seen Ms. Norma for throughout the years participating in our city events and supporting everything pro Miramar. So I think that concludes our presentation of a brief synopsis of the contributions to the city of Miramar. Before going to the city commission dais, are there any members from the public that wish to comment on this item? Yes, sir, you're recognized. You can come to the podium. State your name and address for the record. If you are going to speak, if you can go ahead, you can come up to the front row. Good evening, sir. Welcome.
Good evening. Roland Abel, 7606, Harbor Boulevard. Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, Attorneys, Clerk. I know that I promised that I'll be as brief as I can possibly be, but to speak about Ms. Norma in 2 minutes is not going to happen very easily. However, I would just like to say that I am extremely happy to learn that this proposal is being made. I am a little sad that it took so long, because Ms. Norma is an exceptional person, and her contribution over the last 30 years to this community is immeasurable. I'll just give you one quick anecdote about Ms. Norma. I don't know of any other citizens that do not have judicial authority could get homeowners to go and buy paint to prime the house when they have colors that was really outrageous. And she was able to get quite a number of people to do this, and also to paint colors that was more suited to the neighborhood, so that keep our neighborhood in the way we would like to see it. I personally have been working with Ms. Norma for over 20 years. And the important thing is that she had zero political ambitions. Her desire was to serve her community the best way she could. And she did an excellent job of it. And while some of us who know her for a long time don't need any monuments to remember her, but because of this lady's outstanding, we would like to have something permanently placed so that we can tell people more about who this excellent woman was. And this evening I am here to petition the commission to approve this, and in order to show the respect that we had from her, I am hoping that this petition will be approved unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. Allison Adams, 7211 Fairway Boulevard. Here representing the homeowners of the Miramar Park Homeowners Group, which was founded by Miss Norma. There are a lot of words that I can use to describe Miss Norma, but one that comes to mind is matriarch. She was a mother to all of us. When I first moved into that neighborhood, she came over and she said, "Hi, welcome to the neighborhood." She embraced us all, whether you were new to the neighborhood or have been there for a while. This lady became like the mom that most of us didn't have when we moved to Miramar. She did a lot for our community. She paved the way for people like myself. I cannot fill her shoes. I am currently the president of the group, but she was the example that I hope to follow and do good by her. However, she was a straightforward person, and she always liked to see things from the beginning to the end. And in representing the homes of our community, she never did anything halfway. So we ask that you honor her by renaming the park, and if you do, make it complete. So if we're going to embark on this, please give us a bathroom, because she would not have it anyway, a complete package. But Miss Norma, we know you're up there looking down on us, and we thank you for what you've done for us, and we thank you, Mayor Messam, for bringing this item forward on the behalf of our residents and in honor of Miss Norma. Thank you.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. I'm K. Kedu March from 7841 Ramona Street, and also Miramar Realty Group. Norma Martin was a long advocate for public service and worked tirelessly to serve her community. The Miramar Park Homeowners Group, which she founded, continues to honor our first responders. That is policemen, women, firefighters, healthcare workers, and so forth. When they reached out to our office to help host their annual thank you luncheon for the first responders, we were delighted to partner with them to continue this legacy and show of support. This resolution stands as a testament of Norma's life, work in the city of Miramar. I live in the northeastern quadrant of where Norma operated, and so it is my hope and prayer that our section will benefit from the legacy of the great work that Norma did in the other quadrant.
Thank you.
I'll adjust the microphone because I'm vertically challenged. Good evening, honored city officials, guests, members of Miss Norma's legacy building community. Thank you for coming out. Mayor Messam, you have presented...
Can you state your name and address for the record?
My apologies. Lorraine Tracy, 3061 Lucerne Way. Mayor, you have presented this resolution. You've given us the what, and you've given us the how that support this resolution to rename Fairway Park, the Norma D. Martin Park. I will try my best in 2 minutes or less to capture the why. Norma Martin loved children. Students at Miramar High, Everglades High, Fairway Early Childhood Center, and Fairway Elementary School knew Miss Norma both by name and by face. And this was because she visited them often, feeding their little tummies with all kinds of treats, and finding ways to celebrate everything that happened at their schools, every milestone, every occasion, in only the way that Norma Martin could. Most of all, she was always there at their schools, toiling to keep the gardens beautiful, healthy, pretty. She once told me that the front garden at Fairway Park was actually the Rock of Gibraltar, because on one occasion she had asked someone to wash the garden, and they discovered this beautiful limestone slab that she took pride in caring for over and over again. Norma Martin cared for the environment, and Fairway Park was her baby. She regularly volunteered at the community garden, growing fruits and vegetables and teaching the children sustainable life skills. She was a firm believer that we eat what we grow if we grow what we eat. Norma Martin put her money where her mouth was. I recall one day I called her because one of the schools I was at wanted to start a recycling program. And so I called her up and I said, Miss Norma, I need a compost bin. Got any? She said, I'll call you back in 10 minutes. I said, no. Do you have a compost bin that you can offer our school? She said, did I say I'd call you back in 10 minutes? I said, yes, you did, Mama Norma. And she did. Well, in 10 minutes she called me. She said, in about 45 minutes, a bin will be dropped off at your house. I said, but Miss Norma, I'm not home. I'm at school. She said, yes, but Waste Pro doesn't know the address of your school, and I have to strike while the iron is hot. Well, that day I got 2 bins. My problem was I had to figure out how to take them to the school. Commissioners, you know that a park is a place where children play, feel safe, and enjoy health and wellness. Fairway Park was such a place. Miss Norma understood this well. A unanimous vote of yes to this resolution will send a firm message to the residents of Miramar and to the children in particular that you, our elected officials, are singular in your vision and resolute in your mission to build a stronger and a better community for generations to come.
Thank you. Are there any other members from the public that wish to comment on this item? Seeing none, back to the dais. Commissioner Davis, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I certainly appreciate the responses to the resolution from the community. And just so those who may not know, it's probably close to 10 years ago that, having observed Norma's work in the community, I had pushed for her recognition. She's been recognized before, just maybe some people are new and don't know, and this is just an addition, for her name to be placed in Progress Park. Now, Progress Park has several names there, not a lot, and at the time that Norma Martin's name was put there, it was the first in a long time, and the process was actually changed in order to do that. So I would suggest also that folks take a visit to Progress Park. It's around 62nd and Miramar Parkway, and look at what was done in her honor close to 10 years ago. I just wanted to add that for some perspective.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Chambers, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioner Davis, I did remember it was a very splendid moment and a very joyous time to witness the name of Ms. Norma Martin in the Progress Park. I just want to thank all the speakers for your presentation tonight. They well represent Ms. Norma accurately, and they all represent their community at Fairway. And that's the legacy right there, to encourage other homeowners to take up the mantle, to look out for their community, look out for their neighbors. And it don't have to be in a big way as Ms. Norma did. It can be just the neighbor to your right and to your left and maybe facing you. So the small things, you don't have to go big. You can go small, but encourage everyone else to do something, however little it is. Maybe just picking up some trash that might not be theirs. Maybe just saying hello to their neighbors. Good morning or good afternoon, good evening, something like that. So that's what I'm hoping that also we can get out of this in other neighborhoods. So with that said, I'm going to support this item. I don't know if that's what I envisioned was Ms. Norma D. Martin Park, maybe hyphen/fairway. I don't know if anyone would agree with me, but either way, I'm okay. So thank you so much.
Commissioner Barnes, followed by Vice Mayor Colburn.
Just very quickly, to remind of a very personal memory of Mrs. Martins. Following one of our elections, probably 2 or 3 cycles ago, she attended our meeting, and one of the things she did was to quote comments I made at our swearing-in ceremony, calling on us to act in ways that are appropriate and expected from our community. I was taken aback because here am I hearing my words coming back at me. But that is the kind of advocate that Norma Martin was, and she didn't play with us. She demanded the best of us as members of this commission. For that reason alone, she's going to be remembered very fondly.
Vice Mayor Colburn.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to thank you for bringing this item before us. I appreciate what was said by members of the community who spoke today. It certainly reminds us all of the work that Norma Martin has done in our community. She was truly a light in our community, and I too support this item and look forward to seeing her name on the park.
I'd like to thank the community for your kind words for Ms. Martin, as well as my colleagues on the commission, and it's an honor to just to be an instrument to represent the sentiments of the community by bringing this resolution forward in naming Fairway Park. She was Fairway Park and did so many memorable events, like especially the Christmas tree lighting, where she brought the entire community together. So thanks everyone for their support. If there are no other comments, Madam Clerk, please call the roll. We have a motion, please, on this item.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Barnes?
Yes.
Commissioner Chambers?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Colburn?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Mayor Massam?
Yes. Item number 9, please.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Miramar, Florida, accepting and adopting the annual comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year that ended September 30th, 2021, relating to the annual audit performed by the city's independent auditor, Caballero, Furman, Lirinari, and Garcia, LLP, and providing for an effective date.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, City Attorney, City Clerk. TR number 70, before I proceed. I have with me this evening Andrew Fierman, partner, along with his engagement team. They're with the CPA firm Caballero, Fierman, Urena, and Garcia. TR number 7601, 2021 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. Background. The Annual Comprehensive Financial Report is the official comprehensive publication of the city's financial position, and it provides the results of operation for the fiscal year ended September 30th, 2021. The annual financial statement and compliance audit is required by Florida Statute Section 218.39, City Ordinance Section 2-205, City Bond Covenants, and the Federal Single Audit Act. Responsibility for both the accuracy of the data and the fair presentation of all required disclosures rests with management of the city. The annual report is used by management to assess internal operations by the community to assess proper use of taxes, fees, and other financial resources of the city. The report is also used by prospective industries looking to relocate to the city and by rating agencies that review and assign ratings to the city's debt. For the 33rd year, the city has again received the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting awarded by the Government Finance Officers Association for its fiscal year 2020 annual report. We believe that the city's current annual report continues to meet the requirements of the program, and the city will be submitting the fiscal year 2021 annual report to the Government Finance Officers Association to determine its eligibility for another certificate. At this time, Andrew Fearman, engagement partner, will provide you with the results of the fiscal year 21 audit.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the Commission. Once again, for the record, my name is Andrew Fearman, and I'm a partner with Caballero, Fearman, Llerena, and Garcia, and I am the partner in charge of the city's audit. With me this evening, we have members of our engagement team. If you can please stand to be recognized. Our quality control partner, Enrique Llerena, Vilma Baez of our staff, as well as Joanna Campbell, the supervisor. Thank you. So I'm here to provide a brief presentation on the city's annual comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year September 30th, 2021, as well as our auditor's report and results. What I'm going to do is I'm going to point out a few things within the document and then tell you about the results. So the annual comprehensive financial report is broken up into 4 sections. It starts with the introductory section. There's also the financial section, the statistical section, and the compliance section. What makes this an annual comprehensive financial report and eligible to be included for consideration of the Certificate of Achievement of the Government Finance Officers Association is the information within the introductory section as well as the statistical section. That's the extra additional, going the extra mile that the city does to include all the good information that's within the document. I'm going to begin with the financial section, actually, and go right into the auditor's report, which begins on page 1. It's broken up into various sections. I'm going to point out a few things within each section and just paraphrase a few things. The first section within the document talks about what we've audited. It states, we have audited the accompanying financial statements of the City of Miramar as of and for the fiscal year of September 30th, 2021. The second section gets into management's responsibility for the financial statements. That states, management is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation in these financial statements. The third section gets into our responsibility as auditors, as well as under what standards we performed our audit. It states, our responsibility is to express opinions on these financial statements based on our audit. We conducted our audit in accordance with auditing standards generally accepted in the United States of America and government auditing standards. The fourth section is the opinion section. It's the most important section. It states, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly, in all material respects, the financial position of the city as of September 30th, 2021. Now, this is an unmodified or a clean opinion, and it's, of course, the only opinion that you want on your financial statements. So clean opinion, once again, for the city's financial statements this year. The next item that I'd like to point out within the document begins on page 4, and it runs from pages 4 through 22. This is the management's discussion and analysis, and just tell everyone, if you don't read anything else in this document, you should really read this. This is a 200-page document. This management discussion analysis runs from pages 4 through 22. It's about 18 pages. It talks about the year. It compares current year to prior year. It talks about those changes, and it's written from management's perspective. So it's an excellent executive summary of everything that's within the document. So it really gives you a really good overview of everything that's in there. So a lot of good information within pages 4 through 22 here in the management's discussion analysis. The next section, still within the financial section, is the basic financial statements. This section includes the government-wide statement of net position, as well as a statement of activities, and the fund financial statements for the governmental funds, the proprietary funds, as well as the fiduciary funds, such as the pension funds. I'd like to point out within here is on page 25, which is includes the balance sheet for your governmental funds. Really, it's the first column there, which is the general fund. And the general fund at the end of the year had total fund balances of approximately $47.3 million, and of that, about $5.7 million was unassigned. Approximately $22.1 was committed for stabilization, and another $7 million for emergency preparedness. That's just a few items to point out within your general fund balance. The next section that comes right after the basic financial statements are the notes to the financial statements. These are the required disclosures which provide additional information on the numbers presented within the financial statements, as well as the city. It tells the whole story, so it really should be read in conjunction. It gives additional detailed information on the numbers, also narrative on it, so it gives you that additional information within there. So it's really recommended to read that in conjunction, because sometimes if we might have a question on one of the numbers, usually it's somewhere in there in the notes of the financial statements. Also within this section, right after the notes of the financial statements, is the required supplementary information. Required supplementary information is required by the Government Accounting Standards Board, and it's additional information that includes information on budgetary comparison, specifically information on the general fund, as well as information on the pensions, specific schedules that are required in there as well. The third section of the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report is the Statistical Section. The Statistical Section is the other section that I had mentioned at the beginning that really makes this that Annual Comprehensive Financial Report, not just basic financial statements. And it includes information on financial trends, revenue capacity, debt capacity, demographic and economic information, as well as operating information. And the really good thing about this section is it includes 10 years of information, so you can kind of see where the city has been, where we are now. And if you go into the introductory section, there's information there in the transmittal letter about where the city is going. So again, you get to kind of see where the city is now, where it's going, and the future plans. So again, a lot of good information within here as well. I recommend going through it. And it is a lot of work for the city to put it together, and it's a lot of good information, and getting information from various departments, also other areas of the county as well to get that information. So a lot of good information within there. The fourth section of the document is the compliance section. This section includes the reports that are required under generally government auditing standards, the rules of the Auditor General of the state of Florida, as well as the Federal Single Audit Act. And we are pleased to report within these reports that we did not identify any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses in internal control, nor did our test find any instances of noncompliance. That's on the financial side, as well as on the grant side, on the grant audit side. We didn't have any matters of compliance or internal control over compliance on the grant side. So clean reports on the back as well, on the compliance reports for the city. You were also provided a communications letter. It's the communications to those charged with governance letter. Of course, communications to communicate to you as those who are charged with governance. They are all standard communications within the document. Talks about significant accounting policies, points out some notes of the financial statements to review as well. Talks about whether there were any significant adjustments as a result of our audit, which there were none. And a couple other positive things within the document is that we did not encounter any difficulties in completing or performing our audit, nor were there any disagreements with management throughout the process. Overall, I'd just like to thank Susan, Kevin, Winsome, Elaine, the rest of the finance team, the city management, the commission of the city for the cooperation, the assistance throughout the entire process. It is a process to go through. A lot of questions get asked. There's a lot of things that we request. The city was up to the task to provide us all the information that we needed to be able to be in a position to render our opinion on your financial statements. And we are very, very grateful to the finance team, the city management team, and the commission for that. Also for the opportunity to be able to be of service to the great city of Miramar having our office here in the city of Miramar, we really appreciate the opportunity that you give your residents to be able to work with the city. And, even on our team, our supervisor in charge, she lives right here in the town center. It's just wonderful. So we really appreciate that as well. And with that, I will leave it there and open up to any questions anybody may have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Andrew and his engagement team for their hard work and getting this audit completed. Also, thank you to the commission for your support, for your guidance. With respect to this process, the city manager's office, department directors, and their staff, as well as the staff of the finance department. Lastly, while it has been customary practice to obtain acceptance of the annual comprehensive financial report before submission to third-party agencies, staff and the external auditors were delayed in completing the annual comprehensive financial report because of the late receipt of 3 of the pension board's audit reports, which were needed to complete the city's annual comprehensive financial report. The city received the final reports on Friday, April 29th, and the reports were submitted on the same day to the city's bond disclosure agency, 1 day before the April 30th due date as stated in the city's bond covenant. This submission avoided a notice of failure to file the city's annual comprehensive financial report by the due date being posted for public view. While this was an exceptional experience, staff will inform the commission in a more timely manner if a report deadline that may need to be presented to commission is in jeopardy of the due date not being met. With that, City Manager recommends approval of the audited annual comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year ended September 30th, 2021.
Thank you all for the collective presentation. The city clerk received no request to speak on this item. Does any member from the public present in the chambers have any comments or questions regarding this item? Any member from the public? Seeing none, I'm back to the dais. Are there any comments or questions on this item? Vice Mayor Coburn.
Thank you. I also wanted to say thank you to the auditors and to the staff for bringing this report to us and for all the work that has gone into it. I do want to thank you as well for addressing the issue in terms of the timeline. If I am correct, there were no findings. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
I think that's a good thing, something that we can celebrate. I don't know that I recall not having any findings in recent time on any of our reports.
That is correct.
Yeah, that's what I thought. There was no issues or anything to discuss. So I think that's a very good thing. So I thank you all, not just for producing the report, but the work that you're doing, all staff, to make sure that is the case, that we have no findings. Thank you.
Commissioner Chambers, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Me too, I would like to express my gratitude to you and your firm, your staff. You guys are amazing and great job. But before I go, I want to really, really thank city staff. We had the best team here at the city of Miramar when it comes to the finance department. And I really want to thank them so much for their work. And every day I appreciate seeing them coming in here and doing some late night, early morning, weekends, you name it. Whatever it takes, they're here to get it done. So I'm grateful. Thank you. Thank all of you.
Commissioner Davis, you're recognized.
Thank you. I too would like to thank staff. We were made abreast of the document prior to now, so we had our questions pretty much answered, but I'm glad that you spoke at least so that our residents can see what effort goes into the work that we do, that you do actually, to ensure that all our books are straight. And so thank you to our auditors and to staff. The book, I'm sure, is open to the public purview if they choose to go through the book. And we thank you for another year. We do hope that we do get that award. Is that it? That's the 33rd year you mentioned, and this will be the 34th, that we do keep up that tradition. So thank you once again.
Thank you all for your comments. May I have a motion on this item, please?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Record the votes.
Commissioner Barnes?
Yes.
Commissioner Chambers?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Colburn?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Mayor Messam?
Yes. On to quasi-judicial public hearing, item number 10, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. May I read the announcement into the record? Florida courts have determined that there are certain types of matters, including the following applications, that are to be treated differently than other issues considered by the Commission. Most decisions of the Commission are legislative in nature, which means that the Commission is acting as a policy-making body. In contrast, in quasi-judicial matters, the Commission is applying existing rules and policies to a factual situation and is therefore acting like a judge or a jury in a courtroom. In such cases, the courts have decided that due process and fundamental fairness requires that more formal procedures be followed. The City of Miramar's procedures for quasi-judicial hearings are as follows. All who wish to speak shall be collectively sworn in by the clerk. The hearing shall be conducted in an informal manner. I will read the title of the item to be considered. City staff shall present a brief synopsis of the application and make a recommendation. Next, there will be a presentation by the applicant. The Commission will then hear from the participants in favor of and in opposition to the application. All witnesses are subject to cross-examination by the city staff, city commission, and the applicant. The participant may request that the city commission ask questions of a witness. The applicant and staff may make concluding remarks. No further presentation or testimony shall be permitted, and the public hearing shall be closed. All decisions of the commission must be based on competent and substantial evidence presented at the hearing. All backup materials presented at the hearing will automatically become a part of the record of the hearing. All approvals will be subjected to staff recommended conditions unless otherwise stated in the motion for approval. The clerk will now swear.
All of those wishing to provide testimony on the following quasi-judicial item, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Item number 10, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Miramar, Florida, considering application number 2203667, Pinnacle at La Cabana final plat for a plat consisting of a 2.34-acre parcel located north of Miramar Parkway, east of the Adult Care and west of Douglas Road, former Miramar Public Safety Building site, providing for correction of scrivener's errors and providing for an effective date.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, members of the City Commission, City Managers, City Attorneys, and City Clerk. My name is Nixon LeBron. I'm the Assistant Director for Building, Planning, and Zoning. The item before you tonight is for the planning of the former public safety building sites, to which the Commission's approval land use plan amendment back in 2019, as well as a rezoning for the development of elderly affordable housing. As I mentioned, that's the site of the former public safety building. It's located on Miramar Parkway, just west of Douglas Road. The site currently comprises, 3 acres. It became vacant in 2011 when the public safety building was demolished. In 2019, Pinnacle approached the city with a public-private partnership, and then soon thereafter, a ground lease agreement was signed for the development of the senior affordable housing. And then the city ended up, doing a land use plan amendment to change the zoning map, future land use map from institutional to public facilities. That was also approved by the county commission. And then there was a rezoning, and then also 120 flex units were allocated to the site for the development of the affordable housing. This request before you tonight is for the plat, which is to subdivide the property and create and carve out a 2.33 acre parcel, which was remove the daycare. Because if you look from the previous picture that was showed aerial, you see the daycare site, kind of straddles over the property line. So this would clean that and create a site, on which a developer can develop the project. Per section 307 of the City Land Development Code, City Commission approval is required before final county approval, which is slated, I think for June this year or for the summer. City manager recommends approval. Any questions? And then the applicant also is here to answer any questions you may have as well.
Thank you for the presentation. The clerk received no request to speak on this item from members participating virtually. Are there any members from the public that wish to comment or questions on this item? Any members from the public? Seeing none, back to the dais. Are there any questions or comments on this item? I do see 2 speakers, Commissioner Chambers, followed by Commissioner Barnes.
Thank you, Mayor. This project is dear to my heart. This was something that I brought to the dais and also brought to the city manager to look into using this property to create a senior living for so many seniors that wants to continue to live in Miramar, and being able to have someplace that's affordable and give them some dignity, some quietness, some peace, and they gave their lives to their community, their family, and the least we can do is provide a place. And I know it will not be enough, but we can help a lot of seniors, and I'm really looking forward to it. Based on what is happening now in the housing market, I want to make sure that this senior facility stayed affordable for our seniors. Whatever we need to do, we need to make it happen to make sure that our senior does not get priced out of the city of Miramar. So I'm willing to vote on this item tonight, moving forward. And with the partnership, I think we can accomplish that. So I'm very happy. It should have been done a long time ago, but some challenges, and then come the pandemic. And I think it would have been really, really worked well right now had we had it. So thank you guys for coming forward tonight.
Commissioner Barnes, followed by Commissioner Davis.
This is a very general statement to developers and not specifically to the current agenda item. The news has been making the rounds nationally. South Florida, and apparently most of Florida, is the most expensive place to live in the entire United States. I'm not asking, I'm demanding of all developers who come to this commission while I am here to stop using the word affordable unless it is meant in its truest and most factual sense. Someone is going to have to reverse the trend whereby people can actually afford accommodation in our society. All well and good and talk about, people moving to the Sunshine State because of the obvious reasons and so on. But I think we need to call a spade a spade. Stop, I beg, and again, not specifically to this developer, but I beg developers, when you come to the city of Miramar, don't use the word affordable. And I don't care what methodology is used to decipher the numbers that decide in a particular community this is affordable and it's median income. Just make the homes affordable or don't use the word to describe them. Thank you.
Commissioner Davis, you're recognized.
Thank you. Just a question on some timelines. I know this is, I guess, one of the initial stages. Maybe there could be some idea of when these homes, these apartments will be, when the project will start, when we can expect these homes since there's such a great need. And if also there has been any community engagement in terms of the residents in and around that area. Anything on that yet?
I can start, thank you for the question, Commissioner Davis. I can start answering, but the developers here as well can provide a more accurate timeline. This process, just for the plat, this is going to go to the county in the summer. That will be finalized at the county and recorded. And then their site plans will be, they intend to submit their site plan approval for next month in June. And then once that is approved, and then Tim, if you want to come, and then Tim can provide, the time they will submit for the building permit and as well.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Tim Wheat with Pinnacle Communities. We're the developer of Pinnacle La Cabana. Commissioner Davis, to answer your question, our goal is to commence construction at the end of the first quarter of 2023. We've been working with staff on the timeline. We will host a community meeting at the Adult Daycare Center at a time to be determined before we submit for site plan approval. This is, as you mentioned, is the important first step to start the platting process. And the next step is we're finalizing our design elements, and when we're ready to present that to the community first, and then to the staff at the city, and then on to the commission. Those will be the next steps that we'll pursue over the summer. I hope I satisfactorily answered your question.
As a quick follow-up, we know that everything has gone up, since the time when you first presented this public-private partnership. Just, building material and so on and so forth was cheaper, of course. Now interest rates are going up and everything else. So how has this really affected the numbers that were spoken of back then? Rightly so, I know my colleague, Commissioner Barnes, has mentioned, well, is it really affordable? And I'm hoping so, but it could be relative to what's going on right now. Like, $3,000 is the mean rent right now. So if you have something for $2,000, that may be considered affordable at this rate. But I'm hoping that, especially because this is for the seniors who are on fixed incomes, and of course they don't get those kind of raises on a regular basis, that you'll be able to keep in line with some of the numbers that were presented previously.
Well, let me start by saying that nobody feels the pressure greater of construction cost increases and the drama that surrounded that than the folks in our slice of the industry, which I will call the more attainable, because affordable might not be the best term to use, but I'll say in the attainable and moderately priced housing world, because our income is tied, the income we receive from rent is tied to median income, as we explained to the Commission in 2019. So, we're figuring out how to deal with incomes that have stayed fairly flat and costs that have gone up like this. The good news is that when this time that we applied to Florida Housing and were successful, we priced in a good amount of the construction cost increase in our request for the housing tax credits that make this possible. But there's still been rises. Fortunately, and actually last Friday, the Florida Housing Finance Corporation really stepped to the plate and is offering now additional tax credits to developments that are feeling the construction cost rise. So we're very confident in our ability to produce the product that we originally envisioned in 2019 because the resources are being brought to bear. And you probably also know that the Broward County Commission also approved 1,100 developments using American Rescue Plan, $40 million of American Rescue Plan funds. So there are resources being brought to bear that we believe will maintain. So the rents aren't really going to be a lot higher than we talked about in 2019 because income has not trended much. So one-bedroom apartment in Pinnacle at La Cabana will probably be about $950 a month. So, and it'll be for fixed income seniors. And to answer Commissioner Chambers' question is that those tax credits come with a 50-year affordability restriction. So preserving affordability is the whole purpose of this. And so, you know, we're managing and we're riding the wave of all the crazy changes and fluctuations in the marketplace, but the core mission is still to produce the, you know, roughly 110 units that we originally envisioned when we came to the commission.
Great, thank you for that clarification.
Yes. Sure.
I know back then, one of the issues we had the state didn't grant us the tax credit at that time. If not, we would have been on our way had we gotten the tax credit back then. So
yeah,
that's what really held us up.
The third time was a charm.
And I get asked, there's so many seniors have been asking since then, and I hate to tell them we're not ready yet. So, but this time we're going to be on our way for sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Coburn, you're recognized, followed by self, then Commissioner Barnes.
Thank you. I just wanted to, you know, state, just like everyone else, that we do acknowledge that affordable housing is an issue, and it's not just in the city of Miramar, but it does affect the city of Miramar as well. And one of the questions that we get very often from seniors is where can they find a senior community? Where can they find affordable housing in the city of Miramar? And I think this would definitely give us an answer, somewhere to point our seniors. So I am looking forward to this item. What's next? And when can I tell them to expect some sort of application or or move-in date?
Oh, gosh. Well, like I said, our goal is to try to move as quickly as possible so we can start construction in the first quarter of 2023. It's a single building, so it'll probably take, given developments of this size and height, about 16 months to construct. I know that's not much consolation for people that are looking for the housing now, but that's as speedy a time frame as we can do. I've been confronted with this question a lot. You know, from the dais, people want shovel ready right away. And, you know, we're dealing with a backlog of tremendous need, and countywide, I understand more than 60% of seniors in Broward County spend more than 50% of their income on housing now. It's a tragic crisis. Our small part, we'll do everything we can to speed this timeline up. Vice Mayor Colburn, you have my assurance.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Barnes?
Just saying thank you for the switching words. I promise you I'll compare and contrast the two words and see how they fall out. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Just a couple of comments. First, I'd like to thank Pinnacle for first, I think maybe it's been, 3 years, 4 years?
2019 is when this whole process started.
Yes, almost 4 years.
I know.
When Pinnacle contacted the city with an unsolicited proposal to the city to do this project. As the city had been grappling with affordability even back in 2019, that unsolicited proposal to propose this project to the city of Miramar, to partner with Miramar using our city land to join in with them on an application to the Florida Housing Finance Corporation. And it got shaky for a bit, you know. First at bat, strike out. Second at bat, strike out. So kind of faith kind of got, it waned, you know. So we'll give it a third try, and the third time was the charm where the application came through. What makes this project so great is that because affordable housing, or that term, is so loosely thrown around, but just to be able to afford housing, literally, is a challenge for any resident in our community. So when our residents catch a cold, guess what? Our seniors catch the flu, pneumonia, because oftentimes they have inadequate income from their retirement or lack of savings, and oftentimes have to get a job even in retirement just to make ends meet. So this is welcomed, and with the city providing the land, it helps the developer keep down their costs. Their entry to the entry to the marketplace to bring this product forward is lessened tremendously, because if for them to purchase that site would have to be recouped in the rent to ensure that their investors realize the returns that they're expecting. So the city helps out by keeping that capital cost down. And with the additional financing dollars from the Florida Housing Finance Corporation is ultimately what allows the developer to be able to offer $900 rents for our seniors. So that is a true definition of a public-private partnership. Couple of questions. What stage of design development you're in right now?
We're just out of schematic design. We're beginning design development, but we won't really dive fully into that until we've had a chance to vet the design with city staff and with the community.
So for subcontractors, that's great news, because the design intent has not completely been developed. So therefore, it's not a situation where you may not even have a general contractor identified
Well,
yet.
we brought a fully formed team with a design team, and the general contractor is us. But we've already had conversations with your staff about
So
attracting.
that leads to my next question. How do our local subcontractors, our minority subcontractors, be a part of this process? Because especially during the early phase of design, their input can be very valuable, right? And puts them in a very competitive position to give you great value when you go to bid this project.
Right.
So can you share with the public what engagement and participation for our local and minority subcontractors to participate in this project?
Sure. As you know, we have a goal to attract local subcontractors. We've already had a discussion with staff and set up a schedule to meet with subcontractors later this summer. We'll take two steps, in addition to working with your staff and networking with people who are on your list. We'll hold at the time when we're prepared to bid, we'll hold a pre-qualifying seminar, and we'll rent space or maybe use the adult daycare center and invite the subcontractors back so they have a chance to get familiar with the plans and specifications. And then we'll guide them through that process of bidding and trying to make sure they're competitive, but also qualified, properly insured, and follow all those processes. The second thing we'll do is that when we're ready to actually break ground, we'll hold a job fair in the city, because to a person who's the son of a tradesman, that's really important to me personally. And we'll try to offer individuals employment, and we'll encourage our subcontractors, whether they're some of the local ones or others, to hire, and everyone needs people right now. So it's a great time to try to have a triple bottom line win on the subcontracting side.
So this is great news, because oftentimes when projects are before us, the cart is pretty much has already left the stable. Contractors are already decided, and there's calls for meet and greets and meetings, which really means nothing at that point because you already have contracts already consummated.
We're looking for good subcontractors to work on this development.
Well, one recommendation to assist some capable smaller contractors is to really look at your bid scopes, try to right size them. Many packages can be broken up, in terms of painting. You can break that package into an exterior and interior
Site
package.
work you can break up by asphalt, and, concrete, and
so those be as aggressive and creative as possible. There's a lot of value in the marketplace right now when the scopes are properly scaled.
Right.
And so thanks for being a partner with the city, and appreciate and looking forward to a product where our seniors can not only call home but really enjoy themselves in a Class A development project.
Can I just add one final thing, Mr. Mayor, with your indulgence? We need to thank you and the commission and staff for its leadership. You mentioned that, we had to get up to the plate a few times. It's a tricky process that's largely decided by lottery.
And competitive.
And highly competitive. And I'll point out that if I batted .333 as playing baseball, I'd be the oldest player in the major leagues, and secondly, very rich and successful. But the third time around, the city advocated for Florida Housing to give weighted preference to repeat applications that had demonstrated the level of city support that you had with the low interest loan and the land, and that made a difference. Florida Housing adjusted their rules and made it more competitive for us, and that was a win because of your advocacy on the city. So we're grateful to the staff and to the leadership of you and the commission on that, because it was a true public-private partnership in that regard. You helped affect the policy that put us here today.
And it helped sitting one-on-one with our region representative to urge that consideration as well.
Yes, she's actually hosting, along with Senator Rich, a big symposium tomorrow that I'm speaking at on affordable and sustainable housing down at Broward College. So the fight continues.
Yes. Final two comments, Commissioner Chambers, followed by Commissioner Davis.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say I don't know Pinnacle. I've never seen them before. They come before us in the 19th. I didn't have a contractor in mind or a system in mind, but in fact, I did spoke with the city manager and expressed that site. It might have come in as unsolicited, but it was something that I engaged before, and I didn't know how it was gonna be done, and I knew I wanted it done. So saying that to say this, for whatever it worked, a lot of time projects come to the city that I requested. It might not have my name on it, but who cares? It just need to be done for the good of the city, the good of the community. And for those of you who follow horse race, is the guy that opened the gate. You don't see him, nobody knows of him. They want to see the horse and the jockey and the winner. But that job is very important for that guy to open the gate. You're not going to have the race if that gate doesn't open. Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Davis, you're recognized.
Thank you. To the points that were raised, I would like to address Dr. Hollis, if you don't mind, with regards to the subcontractors. We've been in the same room where it was actually a female contractor that does electrical work. And she basically expressed that by the time you have these meet and greets, all those meaty projects are already farmed out. Now, because this is a public-private partnership, we should have a lot more say-so in how this is done compared to other projects. Am I correct?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, City Attorney, and City Clerk. I am Karen Hollis. And Commissioner Davis, At this point, yes. With more city control projects, the simple answer to your question is yes. We find ourselves with another interesting scenario in that this contract was signed in 2019. And the urgency with which most of the panel here wanted to see this project move forward, I'm happy to report that you actually have a contractor that understood that urgency and immediately began developing a team in 2019. What does that mean? That means that he did secure quite a bit of the design individuals, and they started to make the design, which is going to make it possible for the project to be completed within a year's time, unlike having someone just come and get the approval and have to start now. So that's the good news. In addition to that, I'm happy to report that we've been meeting. The actual contract that was signed back in 2019 only requires 15% participation. I'm happy to report that with the additional negotiations that Nixon and I have been able to do with the contractor, they have willingly agreed to do an additional 5% for local consultants to be added to the project. So now we've moved from the 15% to up to 20% minority participation. That's more good news. In addition, we're going to do a design symposium. Even though they do have their major design components in place, as was communicated to the mayor this evening, there are some areas that have not been fully exhausted. We will be holding a design symposium at the Anson Center, and we will be inviting our local design consultants to come and allow them to do and submit their capability statement at that time. In addition, the team has also been able to communicate that there are traditionally about 7 or 8 requirements that most of the local smaller micro and minority businesses are not educated about or can secure. And so they're going to be training and equipping them and making sure that they're up to par, in addition to just allowing them to submit their capability statements. On August 2nd, we will be having an opportunity for the local general contractors consultants to show up here in the MCC lobby, and they will have an opportunity, and Pinnacle does, and will be at a table. They've agreed to do so, to allow those general contractors for those construction components to be able to have our local ones to have a first opportunity to present and to review the scopes of work. And I did take the notes that you wrote tonight, Mayor, in terms of making sure that the bid sizes are comparable to ensure more inclusion for those general contractors. Third and lastly, as they stated, right before pre-construction, we will have another bid fair wherein we will actually allow all the sub-consultants in the Tri-County area to come. But the first 2 initiatives are going to be exclusive to just Miramar locals, to see if we can do 2 things: get them better prepared to scale up, and to also allow them the first opportunity for any contracting opportunities that are readily made available on this project.
I do believe I had requested this through this commission and staff to institute what's being done in Miami-Dade. Was that ever? I never saw it brought back.
With Director Taylor's permission, that is about to be presented before you, but I'll allow her to speak. Yes.
Sorry, what was that?
Yes.
Could you just explain what it was? I've lost track now. It's been so
advisory.
long that I requested that because I do want to hear from the actual contractors, those people that will be part of this board. So if you could give me the name of the board and what are we doing and where are we at with it?
There is a construction advisory board proposal that has been fully developed and submitted, and a one-on-one meetings, I believe, working with your staff, Director Taylor and ACM Gill, have secured dates within the next couple of weeks that we will be meeting with the commission one-on-one to ensure that we are able to have you review ahead of time and to allow any input on that proposal, and immediately following that, we will be submitting to have it approved.
Okay, so if that could make sure it reached back to me, so since I had requested it done, and I don't think that was the name of it. There was something else that was unique to what Miami-Dade does that I would like to see included. So hopefully you will get back to me. And normally what happens, I get a report back as to what each commission has asked for, and I hope I get that from the executive as far as this particular request that was made months ago, but I've not gotten any update on it since. But thank you.
All right, can we have a motion on this item, please?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Madam Clerk, record the votes.
Commissioner Barnes?
Yes.
Commissioner Chambers?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Colburn?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Mayor Messam?
Yes. Congratulations and all the best for a successful project.
Mayor,
Okay.
if I may,
You have a question, Commissioner?
I just received a text from one of our residents, and I don't know if Mr. Virgin got it. I just sent it to him. And it stated that the company putting down the Blue Stream line in our neighborhood of Coconut Bay turned off the water to all the houses. And without notice this morning, it was off all day. At 6 p.m., they left, leaving water off. I had to call the city customer service 3 times to get technicians to turn on main line. Technicians said they were not
Okay, Commissioner, if that's an emergency, I think the director, the ACM for that department can, if he's gotten that, or can come get that information so we can move the item, and Mr. Manager, if he could just have the Utilities Department and Mr. Virgin address the issues, especially if it's any emergencies. Thanks, Commissioner, for bringing that item forward.
Okay, I would follow
All right.
the number 2.
So, okay, moving the agenda. Next, get to my agenda. Item number 12, please. I guess just read the title into the record.
Mayor, there's no title.
It's on the, all right, so item 12,
It's a
discussion was, okay, item number 12, last commission meeting, Vice Mayor Colburn raised the issue or the point of the city manager's 6-month milestone. And for context for the public, when the city manager is hired, the first 6 months is a period of the contract where there's basically a review process that can take place, and if there's a desire to retain the city manager, can move forward with his contract. If there's not, then if there's a removal, the charter makes provision that 3 of 5 elected officials can remove the city manager, and if the city manager goes beyond 6 months, the charter makes provision that it would require 4 of 5 elected officials to remove the city manager. In context for this item and this discussion, I do recall receiving a document from the city manager regarding accomplishments of his tenure so far as city manager. So I guess this discussion will be in regards to if we either going to evaluate or assess if there's any reservation of moving forward with Mr. Gordon. So I'm not sure if there's any reservations from the commission. Everybody can speak for themselves. But for the record,
Mr. Manager,
I'm fine with them.
this is
So,
my item,
so Madam Vice Mayor, do you have? I'm just trying to get some context of this discussion. So, I guess if there's any reservation by anyone on the commission, that they can speak up at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. I did ask for this item to be placed on the agenda Um, Most of the items that the City of Miramar Commission votes on, it takes a majority of votes, simply a simple majority of votes. And hiring a city manager is a simple majority of votes. The charter specifically states after 6 months that majority of votes, it changes to a higher percentage. It takes 4 instead of 3. This provides for an opportunity for us to evaluate the person that we have as serving as manager and to decide whether or not we want to go forward before we make that additional commitment where it would be more of a permanent position, more difficult to have him removed. So I thought it would be important at this junction for us to not let that date go by without having the opportunity for us to have a discussion on that. I believe this coming Friday would be that date. So this meeting is the last opportunity for us to have that discussion and make any changes that we saw fit. Our city manager, while I was extremely excited to hire our city manager, and I do have a list of accomplishments that he submitted, I can't say that today I have the same confidence that I had 6 months ago when I went ahead and I voted to have him as city manager. So I definitely would like to hear from my colleagues and see where they are, what their feelings are, because this would be the opportunity. If we don't take any action today, then this is the opportunity to do so. It would be some time before we would have an opportunity like this again.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. We have 3 speakers. We'll just go down the line. Commissioner Chambers, followed by Commissioner Barnes, then Commissioner Davis.
Thank
Recognize
you,
Commissioner Chambers.
Thank you. A few years ago, I see fit to brought Mr. Whitney Garden name to the dais it was my nomination to be the next city manager. And even though we were not successful that night, I stuck with it, and I finally saw it come to fruition. I'm very pleased with Mr. Garden. He's been a staple in the community. Live here in Miramar. Mr. Garden had gave his time to the city. He worked with us, the city, for almost 30 years. A long time for someone to work for one city. Started from the bottom, worked his way up. And I like to see that when someone had worked their way up, And it was way at the bottom he started. And I'm very proud to being a colleague, being a friend, to work with him. Very pleased for him to have accomplished the position of being a city manager. And but I think it's time. Where I'm at tonight is not where I was. I think he probably, I'd love for him to not be so stressed and not get so much gray hair. And, so my recommendation tonight is to have a separation agreement and make sure we have a package, work it out with the city attorney, and we can move on to an interim city manager. And Mr. Garden not going anywhere. He's going to be here in the city of Miramar. He's going to be enjoying his family and enjoying life. And I think he's going to be well. But that's going to be my recommendation tonight, to negotiate with him and make sure we're all okay. So with that said, turn it over to the rest of my colleagues. Thank you.
Commissioner Barnes, you're recognized.
Oh boy. I'm wondering where we're going this time. I have no problem acknowledging that I was not exactly supportive of city manager when he came on board, in great part because of the way in which I think the outgoing city manager at the time was not shown due courtesy. I don't know that it can be denied for one single solitary second that the current city manager, if nothing else, has delineated his responsibilities, his expectation of our workers, his expectations of the commission. He has sought to clarify these things. And in the 19 years that I've sit on this dais, I am yet to see a city manager outlined as clearly and as succinctly as our current city manager has his achievements in the short 6-month period. He has sought to bring to book a number of people, including commission members, explaining his authority, explaining the role that commissioners play and the authority they enjoy. Just the preparation of a list of achievements in my book is an indication of a manager who is not only prepared to do his job, but a manager who is showing you the ways in which he is accomplishing his ends and his means. I pray to God in heaven that this evening we're not dumping our city manager.
Commissioner Davis, you're recognized.
Thank you. I have been back on this commission since 2019, and I have a whole host of experience with different administrators, different what we call city managers who actually are CEOs. And it's not an easy job. You have 5 bosses. And a lot of times I've seen where mistakes are made with folks that get into the position and really do not understand their bosses. Everybody is different. What I would have liked to have seen, had it been me chosen to be a city manager, the first thing I would have said about doing would be setting up meetings with my bosses, finding out, maybe in writing, what their goals and objectives are for me, and set about trying to meet those goals and objectives. This is not something, it's not guesswork. Again, it is a very serious position, and most city managers, unfortunately, do not last more than 3 to 5 years. It is a very political position, no doubt. And some of the mistakes I mentioned that are made is that on any new position, one needs to find out what is expected of you. Do not assume. What I found, and I've known Mr. Gordon over the years, rooted for him to be fast-tracked, pretty much, to assistant city manager, and then under the guidance of Vernon at the time to really make sure that he was mentored and guided for the role ahead. There are some things that cannot be taught, however. Some things are easy. Other things, it's to intuition. It is style. It is the proper fit. Those you just can't learn. It's either you have it or you don't have it. I think some mistakes were made early on. Now I've seen some improvements. But the time spent earlier on in Mr. Gordon's tenure would have been better suited to understanding the nature of what is expected of him by his 5 bosses. And I think that's where there was some, I don't know if you call miscommunication or some misguided information given. But like I said, I've been through, this would be 1, 2, 3. I have some knowledge base, and I'm very open to teaching, to helping, to nurture, to guide. But there has to be a willingness. And sometimes there's a stubbornness. Sometimes, again, there is a misconception as to how things work. Yes, we're the commission, and there is guidelines for the commission. There are also guidelines for the city manager based on our charter, and that is our guiding document. And so I just wish that this particular session was done on day 1, where the person in the role of manager would get a clear understanding, not an ambiguous one, or just send somebody out to do their thing. And then when they come back, it's not what was expected of them. And I have met with Mr. Gordon on several occasions, outlined certain things that I would like to see. Overall, there's been some good things done. But then there are those times when it's been a bit of a challenge. Again, in this role, it's not always black and white. In this role, there are times that you have to pivot, you have to move, you have to adjust. And you have to have that type of temperament in order to do that and be successful. By no means do I think this job is easy. It requires a full and deep understanding of each and every department. It requires a lot of time and dedication. It requires basically being on call. It is not a 9-to-5 by no stretch of the imagination. And it requires being accessible, being able to make adjustments where necessary, being able to be a visionary. Maybe you don't see the things that somebody else is bringing to your attention, but you have to be able to be open-minded. And these are some of the qualities that, again, you cannot necessarily teach somebody. So with that said, I will listen to my colleagues, hear what they have seen in the past 6 months, and go from there.
I have a different view and assessment of our city manager at this juncture of his tenure being the city manager. I see that Mr. Gordon coming to his own in terms of his style of management. To date, I see the transition from our former city manager to our current city manager as maintaining a great trajectory set in place, a foundation that was set in place by our retired city manager, and beginning to put his own stamp on the direction forward. I think that when you contemplate all of the items listed on the accomplishment list that was sent out, obviously many of these accomplishments are continuations of efforts that are in place, that are in motion, but he carried them through. I have not received any complaints from any member of our 3 bargaining units. In fact, I believe he completed the negotiations of at least 2 of the agreements. I haven't heard one complaint from residents or employees coming to this chamber, this commission, this body, this board, in objection to his leadership or actions taken by him. I have found his dealings with the commission to be, for the most part, equitable. I haven't sensed any favoritism. Communications that have come out in terms of administrative procedures and policies have been by the book, without favoritism. I saw him early on in his tenure as manager reach out to the new county administrator for Broward County to begin that relationship, with both of them being newly appointed to their positions and roles, which I thought was a good move to bridge that gap, to ensure that we had a friend at Broward County. Our city has won numerous awards, continue to win awards. And I appreciate the comments from Commissioner Davis, for she at least presented her personal view of her accounts with the interactions with the manager that says why she may have some reservations, but I haven't heard anything from anyone else. And even what was stated, don't, at least from my estimation, to the point where the city manager should not be afforded an opportunity to complete his contract. I think his administration, his appointments, to his administration team are capable of serving our residents. I have no reason or have been shown any reason that our staff that's out here in this commission, I don't get any notion that they don't have any confidence in his leadership. Is his leadership style the same as our previous city manager? No. There's many leadership styles. So I would hope that this commission would use merit to base their decisions as relates to our duty in hiring a city manager. It is our prerogative to keep or to release the city manager. That is our duty. And it is our duty to have this conversation at this juncture. I don't think this is a wrong discussion to have. However, what I will caution us is that this city must remain a beacon. This city must remain a city where the best public administrators want to come and work. This city must remain a city that continues to do trailblazing things, hiring the best, empowering the best, and equipping the best to do the best for our community. We won't be able to attract or retain the best if that seat to my left is viewed as a volatile, finicky seat. So I hope our decision tonight is to allow the city manager to continue what a supermajority of this commission voted on when we hired him nearly 6 months ago. If the opposite is decided, that we for a change on this commission go through a true vetting process for our chartered hires that we have to do in this city, where we do truly have a discussion to discuss the merits and qualifications and capabilities, that be afforded to all 5 members of this commission, and more importantly, an inspection by our bosses, the residents. We owe that to our taxpayers. So I urge this commission that we keep our city a coveted city. We use temperament and true judgment in how we govern our affairs. Because all it takes are a few episodes where we will no longer be coveted, or no longer be an attractive city to work for. So I would hope, as I conclude my initial comments, is that I think the public deserves to know and hear from us as their elected officials, from all of us, If we have reservations, why? Specific reasons. And for those that have provided that, that's appreciated. At least the public knows where you stand and why, which is your duty. It doesn't have to be the same as my position. But just a casual, I don't feel the same way, or the public needs to know why. The public needs to be told why. It is what it is. So at least the community will know why, based on each of our respective reasons, and we continue with the city manager or we move on, but at least the public knows why. Commissioner Chambers, followed by Commissioner Barnes.
Oh boy. Thank you, Mayor, for those comments. And for me, can Mr. Garden do the job? Absolutely. He's more than capable. I know he can do the job. That's why I selected him. Did he qualify? Yes, he's qualified. You know, there's no doubt. And some of us might say style is different, yada, yada, yada. He's a very capable gentleman, and I'm proud of him. Everywhere I travel, someone knows Mr. Garden. They work with him, whether here at the city or in class at some school or Miami-Dade. He's very consistent. He's a good person, a good worker, and a good city manager. But listen, it's not just the five of us up here, okay? We have maybe, 1,200 employees? And the employees have to be happy with their city manager. I don't have a problem, Mr. Garden. I don't. But as a city commissioner, if I start getting those information and this content from the different department, whether it's the general employees, folks who are in the trenches, the parks, the police department, the fire department, then I have a duty to make sure that those employees are content so they can provide that service to our resident. That's my job. So that's where my decision has been made tonight, because my ears are to the ground. I'm grounded with the people. And when they come to me and they're not happy, just like they wasn't happy before when I nominated Mr. Gard, a lot of them didn't. I said, look, you got to ride with me. Trust me on this one. This is important. I said, okay, Commissioner Chambers, we're going to work with you. And they did. Now, if they started disgruntled and they come into me again, then I got to make a decision. Because it's more of them than us up here. And they are doing the day-to-day work. They get up early in the morning, they come here. Some of them are late here tonight, and they're going to turn right back around and come back tomorrow morning. The majority of the employees need to be happy. If they're not happy, I'm not happy. And if the residents are not happy, then I'm not happy. Forget about me. I brought Mr. Garden to this dance. And even when I was called a monkey, I stood with him. So I'm not here to beat up on Mr. Garden. He's a great man. I care about him. But I also care about every employee here. I care about fire. I care about PD. I care about utility. And I care about Parks and Rec. I don't know what social service. I stood up, this commission stood up in the previous administration when they wanted to furlough the employees without our knowledge and try to blame me for that. And I'm the one who shut it down, along with Vice Mayor Coburn, because of stupidity. Want to furlough everybody else just to pay for one department when there's other ways of doing it. We have been guiding the city since I've been here in my 7 years, along with the majority. My two-wing lady helped to guide the city, and so far we are doing a great job. That's what the residents say every day. So I'm here to support the employees who have been complaining to me tonight. It's not about me, it's not about Mr. Garden. It's about keeping the city running with happy and capable employees. That's where I'm at. So my motion is on the floor to separate tonight with a package with Mr. Garden. And that's it.
Commissioner Barnes.
I think there needs to be a certain level of honesty about some of the things that have been discussed tonight. The reality is this. The issue of furloughs a few years ago was not the then city manager's original idea. Do the research and find out where that idea originated. It was imposed on the then city manager.
It was not mine.
I didn't interrupt you. Stop. Listen, I have a word for future city manager applicants. When you are interviewed, do not allow appeals to be made to your ego. When you are entreated to consider this job, egos are fickle things. Do not allow yourself to be suckered through your ego into taking on this job. No time, no apologies whatsoever to reminding that I've been here for 19 years. At no point in time in these 19 years, I've ever considered it my job to embarrass management or to intimidate staff. I have sought not to do this along the way. I'm not going to begin now. The fact of the matter is that the city of Miramar is a well-oiled machine that simply needs some tweaking every now and again. That's just a fact. You cannot deny or refute that. That's the reality. Speak to anyone who lives here in South Florida and ask them about service, about utilities, about fire, police response. To make it seem as if we need to start from scratch to rebuild the city is a big, fat joke and worse, a lie. The city needs management, and not arbitrary management either. If we claim otherwise, we're lying to ourselves. And, I'm going to suggest that instead of prolonging this torture about our city manager and staff who has to be back here by 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, let's just vote and get it done. We could go home early again tonight.
Before the vote, this is an item on a discussion, so I would provide an opportunity if there's members from the public that want to comment on this item.
Again, my name is Lorraine Tracy, and my address is 3061 Lucerne Way. Earlier, I spoke to the commission on a more pleasant topic. And as I was sitting there, I did not plan to speak on this topic, but as I'm sitting there and listening to the debate and the issues that are raised, I felt compelled to get up and at least say something from the public's perspective. You guys managed COVID mitigation for the last 2 years, and you did a stellar job. The city of Miramar is a more united city today because of how you managed that pandemic trauma. People have lost loved ones, battled illnesses, and we're learning to live a new norm. Mayor, you recently traveled to Washington and other cities, and you received quite a few awards on behalf of the city. Vice Mayor Colburn, you yourself addressed the issue of the audit report. No findings. That's commendable. Those things did not happen in a bubble. It happened because there was a team behind all of that, united in the work that the city has been doing. And I'm frankly very surprised and very disappointed in hearing this conversation. I came here to support Miss Norma and a park to be named in honor of someone who has contributed 40 years to the city, and this is how we end tonight's meeting. This is really, I think, an atrocity. In my capacity as an advisory board member for the Cultural Center, an educator, an administrator in the school system, the president of a very large homeowners association, a business manager, a philanthropist, I have had to call on various members of this city multiple times over the last 30 years that I've been living here. And I've called on the city manager's office many times. And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, I have never once been disappointed in the response I have received from the city. Most recently, after a horrendous double murder right there on County Line Road, I was contacted by the school because parents had lost their confidence in that part of our city. I reached out to the city manager and aired my grievance with him. Children mean everything to us. The city manager was very quick in his response. Galvanized his team, he brought over the police chief, and he was able to rebuild confidence.
Thank you, Ms. Tracy.
I appeal to you guys to rethink. Because sometimes our confidence
Thank you, Ms.
after
Tracy. I have to
6
end
months.
your 3 minutes. Thank you.
Good evening again, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners.
Address and name, please.
Roland Abel, 7606 Harbor Boulevard. I came here this evening with what I thought was good news, to address something very positive. And I am happy that I stayed behind because unlike the commissioner whose ears close to the ground, mine is closer, you can see. So I can pretty much say that the reports that I have received, and I solicit some reports from both employees and residents, and so far I have not heard anything disparaging about our city manager. I personally have known him for a very long time. And one of the things that attract me more to him than anything else is his humility. He doesn't push himself beyond his capacity. He's humble, and in fact, as I mentioned earlier on, he surrounds himself with like-minded people, people who are able to do their job and yet remain humble. And for that, I am very grateful. And I'm really, really surprised this evening to hear that there's any question about his ability to continue to be our city manager. And I'm really hoping that when this vote is cast, some of us will reconsider and really take seriously what exactly would be our issue. Because the issue is not neither his capability nor his personality. He's humble, he's capable, and Miramar needs somebody like that.
Seeing no other members from the public either gesturing or moving forward, at this time, can we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I need to speak, Mr. Mayor.
No, I'm going to allow the manager who's talking about him and offer him the opportunity to speak.
That's appropriate.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, staff. I will not be here tonight if it wasn't for the support of staff. I never profess to be perfect. There's tough decisions that we have to make. And we go ahead and make those decisions. I've been here 27 years. I've worked in 2 departments. I lived there for 30-something years. I think most of my life I spent in Miramar. And just about most of my life also is working here at Miramar. It's the pledge of this dais. I say I respect whatever this commission decided. And I will work to make sure that whatever decision is made, that I make this as smooth as possible. I have no regrets of being here. These past 6 months has been great. We have accomplished a lot. And the staff that I brought here and promoted here, I say, just keep your head up. Thank you, sir.
All right, can we have a motion?
I need to say for a few words, Mr. Mayor.
If we're moving, we've had an opportunity. Everyone has had multiple opportunities to speak. It's a sensitive issue.
It is.
So can we
but
have
I
a
need
motion?
You asked to clarify our position, and I want to finally clarify my position even more. Okay? A lot of words have spoken tonight in regard to the city manager. It's very factual from the public folk that spoke, and some things from the dais. Like I said, Mr. Gordon is very capable. I don't have a beef with Mr. Gordon. I still love him. I still support him. But I'm telling you straight and plain, this place would have been full tonight had I let the employees come out here. Okay? And I'm here tonight with this item to support the employees who have come forward to me, the different department that have not supported of Mr. Gordon. We got to have the employees. Got to have them. And I can't afford to lose them. We need them. I'm not going to have a bunch of disgruntled employees just because of one person, not just because of myself, me one. No. I got to go. Because they are important. Their voice is important. Their job is important. Their skills are important, regardless of what level they are. Whether they're in the sewer, are they cutting grass? Are they doing a fire service? Are they policing the street? They're important. I take that very seriously. And when the majority is not happy and they come to me, then I'm not going to be happy. If there's something I can do, I'm going to do it. And that's why I'm supporting the separation tonight. It doesn't change my feelings towards Mr. Gordon. I hope it doesn't change my relationship, but that's where I'm at. I'm putting my employees here first. Thank you. I'm going to make the motion.
Vice Mayor Colburn, would you like to share with the public your sentiments, please? I don't think you've expressed them.
I just wanted to address a couple of things. I'm not going to disparage the city manager in any kind of way. I do have too much respect for him to do that, and for our employees as well. I will say that, you know, as a commission, we do have tough decisions to make, and this is one of those. We don't have a we don't have a choice to extend this for another 6 months because the charter doesn't allow us to do that. We don't have a lot of flexibility. What we do have within our powers are to either terminate or move forward with them. In all my decisions, I like to do what is best for our residents, for our businesses, and for our employees. And for that reason, I have, like I said before, I don't feel the same way I did 6 months ago with this city manager. So I am prepared to vote. Commissioner Chambers said he had a motion. I thought there was a motion already on the floor. So maybe we can clarify that.
Well, there was no motion and a second, so I wanted to extend the courtesy for all the elected officials to share with the public their sentiments. Mr. Gordon.
Mayor, let's just go ahead. There's a motion on the floor. Let's go ahead and do what we have to do, please.
Yeah, but we have to have a properly motioned and second item to take a vote, which hasn't occurred. So if there's a motion and a second, we can proceed. Is there a motion on the, may I have a motion, please?
My motion is to instruct the city attorney to agreement with Mr. Gordon, a package of separation for tonight, from tonight, so that we can choose an interim city manager. That's my motion. Mr. City Manager? Is that motion correct?
You made your motion. Is there a second? Once you make your motion, it belongs to is there a second?
I'd like to second the motion, but I'd like some clarification from the attorney. Or this motion will be the separation will be effective after this meeting? Is that
Madam Vice Mayor, the manager is saying that he would like for it to be effective tonight.
I'm sorry?
The manager is saying that he would like for it to be effective tonight.
Okay, then with that being the case, I'll second the motion.
Madam Clerk, record the votes.
Commissioner Barnes?
No.
Commissioner Chambers?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Colburn?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Mayor Messa?
No. Madam Attorney, you said you had an announcement?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. At approximately 6:30 on Wednesday,
Well, I'm not adjourning the meeting. I'm just having the announcement done. It's a discussion. So you can announce your shade meeting, please.
I will announce it. One of the things that's come up, and I just want to make sure we don't overlook it, is to announce or at least select who you're going to have as.
Yeah, we'll have that discussion next.
Okay. At approximately 6:30 on Wednesday, June the 1st, 2022, or as soon thereafter as it may be heard, the City Commission shall meet privately to discuss pending litigation pursuant to Section 286.0118 Florida statutes for the following case: Tracy Sorbet, versus City of Miramar, case number 20-025933. This executive closed door session will take place on the third floor, room at 2300 Civic Center Place, Miramar, Florida. President, the attorney-client session will be Mayor Messam, Vice Mayor Colburn, Commissioner Barnes, Commissioner Davis, Commissioner Chambers, City Manager for the City of Miramar, and attorneys Bernadette Norris Weeks, Norman Powell, Michelle Austin Families, Lorna Brown Burton, and on the record court reporters. The estimated length of time will be approximately 30 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. At this time, we have to appoint an interim city manager until we come to a decision by the commission in terms of determining our our new city manager.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to nominate Mr. Roy Virgin to be the interim city manager.
Are there any other nominations?
I didn't hear the name clearly.
Mr. Virgin, Roy Virgin, to be the interim city manager.
Okay. All right, so it's been nominated for Dr. Roy Virgin to be the interim. So since this has come up undiscussed in terms of where we are in this process, I do think we should have a discussion regarding the nomination for Mr. Virgin. It's with some context in terms of our process on what's next. So is this to designate for the short term with a express plan to the public in terms of this commission's decision on the successor for the city manager?
I think it's what it is tonight. It's just to select an interim. We will have further discussion at another meeting, but as of now, that's what I'm proposing. Just an interim city manager moving forward.
All right, are there any other comments regarding this item? So that we can have, so we can communicate to the public and our community in terms of the leadership of our city. Vice Mayor, you're recognized.
Thank you. I am supportive of appointing an interim city manager tonight. And I think we can have further discussion on how to proceed.
Any other comments from our other two commissioners on the dais? Make sure everyone has an opportunity to provide some input.
Just an observation, you know. How much more are we going to embarrass the city of Miramar and its residents is my question. My question, comment, no question.
Is that a question, Commissioner Barnes?
Are you finished, Commissioner Barnes? Okay. Commissioner Davis, any comments or input?
Yeah, just that we, at this, point, just need an interim, and then we can discuss further as far as the procedures for the position of city manager.
Motion to approve?
You can't move and second your own motion. You nominated Dr. Virgin. You can't move and second your own item. So his motion is to appoint Dr. Roy Virgin as the interim manager. Is there a second?
Second the motion.
Madam Clerk, record the votes.
The votes are going to be manual.
Okay.
Commissioner Barnes,
No.
Commissioner Chambers,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Colburn,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Mayor Messam.
No. All right, no, meeting is adjourned.